the 2026 NBA offseason has already been off to a pretty crazy start, to say the least. I know I'm a couple of days late, but better late than never. Cover some of this action that's been going on throughout the league and give some of my personal takes. I want to go over a couple of the big trades that's happened so far this offseason and really, look into it and see how it benefits teams, what will be the look going forward, and so on and so forth. Obviously, the biggest one this offseason so far was the Giannis Antetokounmpo trade. Giannis, of course, has been going back and forth with the Bucks for what feels like a couple of years now at this point. Is he going to get traded? Is he going to stay in Milwaukee? What's going to go on with the Bucks? Where is Giannis going to go, et cetera, et cetera. There's been tons of teams mentioned throughout the years, potential trade pieces going to Milwaukee and out. But with that said, it finally came out June 22nd, so a couple days ago, almost a week ago. I'm really late on this one. But yeah, of course, Giannis and Bobby Portis. Can't forget Bobby Portis to the Heat for Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, and Jaime Jaquez Jr., and 3 first-round picks, including pick 13, which ended up being Nate Arnett Nate Emmett from the Tennessee, who's obviously going to be the Giannis replacement, quote unquote. I know definitely not who the Bucks probably want from that. Bucks fans in particular. Emmett's, he's going to be a solid NBA player in my opinion. I think he's definitely inefficient as a scorer though. He didn't shoot the best, especially not even from 3, just in general, but he has good size. He's a little skinny though, and he has a lot of memes. There's been memes of him going around on the internet. So it'll be interesting to see how he can be used for the Milwaukee Bucks going forward. I think he does have good upside compared to most people in the class, and only time will tell what goes on with that. In terms of the Heat now, though, with Giannis, of course, because that's what we need to be talking about with this trade. That's the main point. It's really going to be interesting to see how this works out this year. The backcourt in Miami is not that good. Could argue it's not great at all. Of course, you have, Davion Mitchell is going to be the starting point guard for the Heat unless they make moves going forward. And I mean, not a terrible defender, but as your primary ball handler and, overall just point guard in general, I don't think Davion Mitchell is going to be the answer. He had some great games. Of course, you have his last game of the season versus Charlotte, where he had a really good game. And over his career, though, he's not really been much other than a backup point guard. So to ask him to be the main point guard for Giannis, it'll be interesting to see. I think he's an all right playmaker, and obviously he plays pretty good defense. He's an all right shooter from 3. He's about 36% career-wise from 3, so could be better, could be worse. Of course, you're going to have Wiggins, and that front court is going to be Adebayo and Giannis. So that's interesting. 2 kind of ball dominant big men there in the front. And then you got Bobby Portis off the bench. The front court there for the Heat is going to be something to talk about. If Bam's dropping 83 and Giannis is dropping 50, they might win every game. But for the most part, I don't know how I really feel about it. Miami, they've been wanting to make a big move for a while after getting rid of Jimmy Butler, of course. And I don't know if this was the right one. I don't really see how Giannis, of course, Giannis top, he's probably 3rd, 4th best player in the league. Depending on how you view him, you could even put him higher than that. So, of course, getting him is huge, but the team around Giannis, is it really that much better than the Milwaukee situation? Of course, Bam's better than Kyle Kuzma, and, you got Norman Powell, who was an all-star, but was low-key kind of a terrorist to uh, Miami there for a little bit towards the end of the year. Wiggins, I mean, it'll be curious. I'm expecting more moves to be made for the Miami Heat just because I don't see how this is the team that they're gonna seriously wanna, go into next year with Giannis. I think they're definitely a couple moves away before you could even really consider them a true contender. I mean, a team with Giannis, they're always gonna. I mean, this is a playoff team, but is it really scaring a team like the Knicks? I don't know. I don't think so. Looking at the Bucks side of the trade, though, like I said, we already mentioned Nate Emmett from Tennessee. This team's not good at all. I mean, you got Tyler Hero and I guess Jaime Jaquez now, but Kuzma just isn't the answer. I'm Miles Turner, a 14-10 type of guy, 14-8, somewhere in there. They got Ryan Rollins, who was kind of like a bench player for most of his career. But last year on Milwaukee, he was actually a pretty solid piece for them. I mean, granted, Milwaukee was pretty bad last year, so take his production how you will. But I think he's pretty solid. I mean, he can be a solid guard in this league, I think, given the opportunity. I mean, last year he was doing really good for Milwaukee. He was arguably their second best player, third best player on that team. 17 a game on, 5 assists, 4 rebounds, steal and a half, only about 3 turnovers though. So that's, not what you want to really want out of your starting point guard, 3 turnovers a game. But considering it was his first year really getting like serious minutes, I mean, I think he did pretty good. I mean, he's above 40% 3-point shooter over his career. I know I'm kind of box score watching, but I didn't get to tune into that many Milwaukee Bucks games last year, especially with how bad they were. And, Giannis wasn't even playing most of the games on top of that. So it'll be interesting to see what Milwaukee does in the future. But this next year, I wouldn't expect very much at all from Milwaukee. But I think the 3 first round picks, and Tyler Hero's there, I guess. I mean, maybe they're a play-in team just because of I guess some of the people there. They got some young pieces though, that will be interesting to see going forward, and we'll see what happens with the Bucks. But overall, I really don't know how I feel about this trade from both sides. Honestly, I'd give it maybe like a C for both sides, maybe a B minus for the Bucks just because they got picks and they can kind of start a rebuild now, a real rebuild, without having to deal with having one of the best players in the game on their team. The second very big trade that I'm going to cover this offseason for the NBA was LaMelo Ball traded to the Minnesota Timberwolves along with Josh Green for Naz Reid and a couple of picks, 2033 first round unprotected pick and 3 second round picks, 2029, 2032, and 2033, along with pick swaps in 28, 29, and 30 in the first round. So pretty crazy stuff in the NBA. First off, we'll talk about the Minnesota Timberwolves making this trade. Obviously, they finally split up the big man duo of Gobert and Reed to get LaMelo Ball. And honestly, at first, I didn't know how I felt about this trade. I didn't really think I liked it that much from the Timberwolves. But when you really look at their roster and their depth chart in particular, they've been having Mike Conley play point guard, Anthony Edwards, and it's just not been the most efficient way to go about it, having Grandpa dribble the ball. Their guard depth in general, it just isn't the best. I mean, you got Bones Highland, what after that? In terms of point guard, I mean, Terrence Shannon Jr., I think, is an absolute bucket. He was a dog at Illinois, especially during the tournament. And besides that one game, he shot terrible. But overall in college, he was a dog. And now you got LaMelo Ball coming in, who in Charlotte, they had that great second half of the season. And the main contributor to why their offense was so good as it was LaMelo Ball and what he's able to bring to you on offense. I mean, LaMelo Ball, he's LaMelo Ball, man. He's gonna make your highlight plays. He's gonna make your head scratching plays. He's a great player. He's an all-star. He's close to all NBA type of player sometimes at his best. He can make boneheaded and you could say loser decisions in terms of how he handles himself off the court and on the court with dumb passes, bad shot selections, and then he likes to drive in the poles and stuff. And it's going to be interesting to see stays clean from the sidewalks near the Minnesota Timberwolves arena. But jokes aside, though, LaMelo Ball, I mean, you know what you're getting. You're getting a 20 and 8 type of guy in terms of maybe 20 and 7. He's going to shoot pretty solid from three. He might do you some terrible turnovers, but at the end of the day, for what Minnesota's been having to do at point guard position, I think this is going to be great for Anthony Edwards in terms of relieving some stress from him. But it will be interesting to see how him and LaMelo can work. LaMelo's definitely not a ball hog type of player, but those are two guards that like to shoot the ball. LaMelo shoots the ball. I mean, he obviously last year was kind of a step back from previous years where he was shooting at 21 times. Last year he only shot at 17 times a game, which I mean is still a decent amount. It's a decent amount, but you guys think number one option on a team, and then you're going to compare him to Anthony Edwards, who shoots it 20 times a game. So that's a lot of shots between those two guys, and to be fair, Minnesota's going to need that. I mean, their plan is probably going to move DeSumo to small forward, and he had a pretty good playoffs. You got McDaniels. I mean, Jaden McDaniels. You got to be happy about that. And then Gobert to center. That's going to be interesting. Hopefully, Minnesota, this might be one of their last years, especially because Gobert's age is definitely going to be catching up to him. He's going to be 30. He just turned 34, actually. It was Gobert's birthday this week. That's kind of crazy. But yeah, for Minnesota, I mean, I honestly, I kind of like the move more now than I did beforehand. Um, there ain't a lick of defense, though. That's for sure, going on uh, in the backcourt now with LaMelo. But I mean, you got Gobert, McDaniels there to hold it down in the front. So we'll see what goes on with Minnesota. I think though this is a trade that they honestly it was worth just going for it and seeing what can happen. You got a guy like Anthony Edwards, a top six player in the league, top five around that area, who's in his prime right now, and you don't want to make the mistake of not trying to make moves and just staying stale. I mean, two conference finals appearances back to back years. Obviously, this year they weren't able to get there. It was going to be a tough ask asking them to beat San Antonio in that series, but especially if Anthony Edwards was injured, they were dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. So honestly, I like this move for Minnesota. And then also looking at it from Charlotte's perspective, it's interesting. It's an interesting move by the Charlotte Hornets because, they just had one of their best seasons in recent history, and then they go ahead and they trade the main catalyst, their star, not even necessarily star player, but their best player. And they also just traded Miles Bridges. That happened right before I started recording. And now you look at the Charlotte Hornets team, and it's definitely got a lot of question marks. Kobe White's obviously going to go run the point guard now. He just got a contract extension, which was definitely deserved. He had been pretty underpaid from his first contract in Chicago. And to see him get money, I mean, he obviously deserved it. He hit some crazy threes in that game versus Miami in the play-in, which was crazy. Brandon Miller and Con Knipple. I mean, they got Naz Reid now too. It'll be interesting. This team's probably a play-in team. I'm not expecting that much now from them. I might have considered that. I mean, I think most people could have seen them, really making some noise maybe in the playoffs and upsetting. I mean, especially with how Detroit was looking there in that first round, maybe they would have had a chance to upset them. But now, without LaMelo, it's almost like a step back. And then they trade Miles Bridges for Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. I mean, they got an interesting structured team going on here, does Charlotte. They definitely do. And then, of course, they drafted Christian Anderson out of Texas Tech in the draft, pick 18. And he's an undersized guard, and he's got an uprise there in playmaking, but he was really known for his 3-point shooting. I mean, he's one of the best 3-point shooters in the country last year at Texas. He's making about 3.5 a game, and he's doing that at 41%, which is pretty good, pretty solid. So he's undersized though. He's only 6'1". I mean, it's an interesting selection here. We'll see what he can do. But we just saw what Jalen Brunson did in the NBA Finals. So you don't want to discount it, the short guy in this situation. And it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's one of the best 3-point. He's going to be one of the best 3-point shooters right away. And it's gonna be he's limited. Obviously, he's not getting downhill. And he's not really going to be attacking the paint. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes with them going forward. But honestly, I think he'll be a good fit there in Charlotte. Overall, though, for both teams, honestly, for Minnesota, I'll give it a B, maybe a B plus, and then for Charlotte, I'm gonna give it a C plus. I think. I don't know if I would have been blowing it up. They just had their best season in recent history, and this is how they respond. But, sometimes moves got to be made. And if they didn't feel like, it was going anywhere at LaMelo, I guess make the move now. But just, I feel like I don't know, was Minnesota really the best offer? Only time will tell.